Welcome to Hourglass. I did have a little what do you call it? My brain is not functioning. I did have a little spiel with Hourglass, but I'm still working on it. It was gonna be Hourglass more than tits and ass. Ooh, I know, fantastic, right? So, okay. I'm a little anxious because it's been so long since I've done this, and a lot of times if you have never seen Be Cool and you don't know anything about me in general, I like to be timely, I like to be very professional, obviously, but I also want to make sure I have as much control as I possibly can, and I am doing everything on my own. I created this Twitch account, I've had the entire setup with my mic, and all the shebang, so it's more of just so nervous because I haven't done it in a while, and I'm really hoping that nothing fucks up. But if it does, it's totally fine, things happen, whatever, gotta go roll with the punches. Alright. So, to give you a little insight on what Hourglass is, it's a live video podcast hosted weekly every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can come onto Twitch or Instagram Live and tune in and watch me chat with y'all and share things that's happened in my life, things that I've experienced as far as being a model, as being a female, as being whatever crazy race that I am because I'm mixed with a whole bunch of stuff, or whatever is just in my brain at that night. Not only am I just talking about me all the time, because that can kind of get a little repetitive, I guess, maybe, I don't know, but I also have special guests, and this is what's going to be a little bit different between Be Cool and Hourglass. With Be Cool, I used to have special guests from all over the place as long as they related into the modeling business, such as models and photographers, makeup artists, and hairstylists. And everything was awesome and fine and dandy, and I loved doing it. But this time around with Hourglass, I want to focus more in Detroit, because Detroit is a great city, and if you've never been, you have to come. And if you do come, feel free to ask me for all of the recommendations. So I really wanted for people to see what it's like to live in Detroit, what it's like to be a creative in this city, and I want to bring special guests, other people, to talk about their experiences as a model, photographer, a clothing designer, what do you call those people? A coach, a gym coach, a trainer. That's finally. But I wanted to bring other people in the city on the show to give them basically the light for them to talk about who they are and what makes them the artist. I don't really know. Whatever makes them who they are. And actually next week, I do have a special guest. I will later on, at the end of this episode, kind of showcase who that is, and I'll also show a little bit of their work. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, it's just to kind of let people know what it truly is like to be an artist, especially nowadays with social media and with constantly updating photos, or constantly making sure your music is what all your fans really want to hear from you, or dealing with unprofessional assholes. Yes, and I do cuss, so be prepared for that. So it's just more kind of to inform people and to kind of shed some light into the industry as far as being an artist goes. Not only that, but it's also very helpful for anyone that's interested in whatever artistic career that I've actually had or talked about on the podcast. So say you're interested in being a photographer, but you have no idea where to start or how to do it, or maybe you know how to do it, but you just don't really know how to edit properly, or whatever the case might be. This podcast is perfect for you because in that idea, I will have photographers, since I'm not a photographer, I will have photographers come on the show and share these things with you. And the fun part is you can actually ask questions immediately and get answers as soon as we can basically answer them. I know Twitch has a little minor delay, and I'm not really sure about Instagram, but it's Instagram. So yeah, and so far my questions right off the bat is, am I nervous? You are talking real speedy. Yes. I tried to meditate before this. I also drank tea that was supposed to be like a calming tea. I also put this like baby powder oil smell on my wrist because I have flight anxiety, and that kind of helps me like soothe the mind a little bit. But yes, I am nervous. I'm always nervous. I've said that countless times in previous podcast episodes, but it's just something that I deal with on a daily. But as far as the speedy part, I talk speedy really, really normally. Or that doesn't even make any sense. I talk really fast. Just, that's how I am. You have to catch up with me. I even walk kind of fast. I'm just a fast-paced person. I need things to be done at a rapid pace. So bear with me if I do speed with my voice or my speech. Tell me to slow down if you need me to. I will try my hardest. Hey everyone on Instagram. Y'all are looking fabulous, by the way. But yeah, just inform me if anything is going too fast, if you need some clarifications, if you want something that I have, if you want me to just restate something. I don't really know. Derek, I for sure got the water on lockdown. So let me take a sip. And let's get back into it. So like I said, this episode is kind of just revealing the truth. It's like, where do I begin? I have notes, but sometimes I kind of rather just go off on tangents and just go crazy. So that's who I am. Just remember that. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's really anything else about Hourglass that hasn't been said or that's really adamant. Oh, also, if you unfortunately did not catch the live video recording of this podcast or this episode, don't worry. It's gonna be on SoundCloud and YouTube. Yay! I mean, obviously, the people that are here now, y'all should be fine. But if you have to leave or you have to eat food or go watch Blackish, because I heard that's something that's happening right now, don't worry about it. You can catch it anytime, hopefully by tomorrow. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to really say about Hourglass. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I know it's so great to finally be live again and to do this for the past how long has it been? 6 months? A year? No, it's been way longer than that. I don't know. However long it's been, I've been kind of antsy about it. I've really wanted to get this back. I do have a SoundCloud, actually. Just search l.shima SoundCloud. Actually, I feel really bad. I don't know my own SoundCloud link, but I'm pretty sure you can find it just by searching my name. If not, then just tweet me, Instagram me, DM me, Tumblr me, message me, email me. There's countless ways of getting a hold of me, honestly. But yeah, I'm excited to finally be back. I realized for the past few years that I really, as far as my brand goes, I really enjoy my personality. Does that sound conceited much? Whatever. But no, I realistically, from what everybody else has said about my feed of what other people have said about my podcast and about my Instagram little snaps or whatever those are called, stories or whatever else, it seems like my bubbly personality is something that's really actually kind of a super positive for obvious reasons. And to have this live video chat is amazing because not only does it let me kind of release this crazy energy that I have into the world, but it also lets me kind of chat with y'all because it's really hard nowadays to keep up with social media. Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. I did have Snapchat, but I got rid of that. And then I had Facebook, but then Facebook deleted me. It didn't delete me, but blocked me, and I kind of got pissy about it. So I'm like, fuck you, Facebook. I don't need you anymore. There's a few other social media parts, but it's just really hard to just stay tuned and up to date with everyone in this entire world, especially when people want to constantly ask me questions. And I try to answer as much as I possibly can. So having this outlet is perfect because especially if you really want to answer immediately, you can do it. All right. So enough about that. I even wrote who am I, but I feel like y'all know who I am. If you don't, my name is l.shima. I'm a full-time model. And I have other like little attributes to me, such as like an artist and a podcast host. And I do like photography, but not really. I just do it because I kind of need to sometimes. I technically am a retoucher, but not really, because I really don't like doing that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm mostly just a model, if anything. Creative. So, I'm just trying to think where I want to go tonight. All right. So, as far as the topic goes, let me see what Instagram says. Whoa, cheers! Glamour model that takes freelance route, correct? I am not necessarily, I wouldn't consider myself a glamour model anymore. That's how I did originally start with modeling, but I'm kind of veering away from that. And I'll get in more depth about that. But that means a lot of people do associate me being a glamour model because of these lovely ladies on my chest, and I am flaunting them tonight because, you know, for newbies, they might kind of like see this and be like, ooh, girl with tits. But then trust me, next episode, I'm gonna probably wear sweats or something. I don't really know. Oh my god, y'all are going crazy. You don't like retouching? It's really more, I don't like Photoshop. It's just, it gets overwhelming and kind of crazy, and I just really have never had a basic structure on the proper way of editing technically, or even how to use Photoshop in the first place. I kind of winged it and hoped for the best, so I never really understood what I was really doing. All I knew was layers are important. That's all I've got from that. So I'm gonna hold the questions for a second because I kind of want to get into this. This episode and all the other following episodes, I'm going to aim for an hour. They might be a little shorter, they may be a little longer, but kind of just bear with me on it. But this episode, I really do want to talk about the truth. The beginnings of l.shima, what happened to get this girl created, and what I did to get myself where I am today. And this kind of relates actually to you on the question about being, or more of a statement of being a glamour model. When I started modeling, this was about 6 years ago. I'm getting old, guys. My birthday's in July and it's coming up and I'm gonna be 25. I'm just kidding. But well, my birthday is in July and I will be 25, but the old thing is just not, whatever. Anyways, so I started modeling 6 years ago when I was in Austin, Texas, where I'm originally from. When I actually really started, was 6 years ago. I dabbled in it as soon as I turned 18. I took senior pictures and I kind of fell in love with the idea of being in front of the camera. I even went to school for a semester at a community college for photography, realizing that wasn't my niche. I just really didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. So I dabbled in modeling just to kind of see what it took to become a model. There was no true other reason, honestly. There's like a minor lag on Twitch and it's bugging the heck out of me. And so I decided to just shoot with random photographers. I created account on Model Mayhem. I just kind of tried it here and there, didn't really take it seriously. I eventually met my boyfriend, Francis Flejo, who is an illustrator. And if you don't know his work or know of him, then just go Google him and you'll find him. He's literally like everywhere. Anyways, so when we started dating, actually, it was January 1st of 2011, I do believe, if I'm adding it right. We were at brunch, just celebrated New Year's, and he sat me down, basically because we were already sitting down. But he mentioned, hey babe, if you really want to take modeling to like the next level, you could do it. Because he noticed that I was just doing it here and there, and at this time I was working 2 jobs. And hearing him say that made me feel almost confident, like, okay, I believe you. I could do this. I never really, because especially when it involved making it a full-time job where I get paid for it, kind of made me nervous because I didn't at that time know how to ask for money, basically, or even know how to quote somebody rates. So I was very hesitant in actually beginning this journey as a model. And at that same time, he mentioned, I've had history of creating my artist brand, Francis Flejo, and he basically offered to kind of assist me on the managing aspect of l.shima. So, fast forward for 6 years, Frances has literally been my manager, my secret manager. Nobody knew about it. And everything was actually kind of fine for at least a good 4 to 5 years. I let him respond to emails. I let him respond to messages. So you may have gotten a Frances Vallejo response instead of me. But I always did. I was always there, but I never really typed it out sometimes. And sometimes actually he would just get on my social media and tweet things without my acknowledgement. Or edit photos because the photographer's editing wasn't flattering for me. Because at the time also, my body weight or how I looked, the hourglass, wasn't the top notch that I can possibly get myself to be. Because nowadays with modeling, well, nowadays it's actually changed. But at least 5 years ago, modeling, you had to be kind of slender or at least had a flat tummy and no rolls, even though rolls are a freaking thing that happens. Anyways, so he was always there. He was the secret manager that nobody knew about. And I never actually had the reins on my brand. But I did learn a lot of information watching him, seeing how to email and respond to photographers or clients, how to create a, what do you call it? I can't think of it. To call it a PDF to show, basically like a resume, but not a resume. But to show the things that I've done. A client's, I can't think of the name. But to show the certain clients that I've worked with and the things that I've done in my career. Or reaching out to brands and seeing if we can collaborate on certain things. Or yada, 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 yada. He did a lot of those things, but it made me realize and learn how to do it for my own sake. So within 5 years of that happening, I kind of got overwhelmed because I never really had good confidence for myself, and I still don't. And I'll get back more into that also. I never really had great confidence or self-esteem or anything that involves with me. I always had negative thoughts towards myself, and it was really hard. You might be like, Shima, you always tweet positive things. I do, and that was almost just because I felt like I needed to, in a sense. Because when I go on social media, I don't want to see somebody ranting about how horrible their day was or anything like that. I go on social media and I want to hear positive things. And that's how I felt that I should perceive for other people. And I want other people to think that I was a positive person and not a negative Nancy, even though deep down inside, I kind of was negative. So with him having the reins on my brand and me not having the comfortability of who I was, I kind of gotten into this slump of doubting myself and questioning if I was really good or not, if I could do this on my own. And it was kind of getting so overwhelming that I would just break down and cry. I would go on social media, especially on Instagram. I would see these gorgeous models shooting these fantastic imagery, and I would doubt, why am I not doing that? Why have I been taking 6 years to do this, but then this other model can only take 2 years and she's already at 50,000 followers when it's taken me decades to basically get to, 12.1 on Instagram? And numbers really don't matter, but nowadays it does. Another topic, another day. But just kind of being in that self-thought and having all of those negatives kind of affect me was really getting to me. And I would never share these things. The only person I would share it with was Frances. Otherwise, I wouldn't even share it with my mother. I wouldn't even share it with my siblings. I, of course, wouldn't share it on social media. A lot of the things was just kept inside. And I might mention it to Frances, but otherwise, that's only maybe 25% of what was truly going on in my brain or in my mind. And I didn't know how to fix that. I felt like I was stuck and there was nowhere else I could go. I felt like I couldn't do it without Frances. I felt like if it wasn't for Frances, I wouldn't have been a model in the first place. And it's interesting because looking in my past and how I was either raised or my childhood, I'm not looking to blame anyone or anything, but I was never necessarily pushed to do anything necessarily. and I was never like really appreciated. Like I know my family was appreciative and they loved me and everything like that, but I personally never felt like when something good happened to me, I got recognized for it. And so growing up that way, it led me to be in my adulthood where I still felt that way. I felt like everything I did and put out there wasn't getting appreciative. Even though all of y'all said I was gorgeous or I'm amazing or I am funny or whatever adjectives that y'all did use to describe me, I would think about it for a second and be like, oh, that's nice, and then move on. And then I got to the point where I got a lot of it and I kind of just ignored it almost. Like it wouldn't even faze me. I didn't even think that y'all were telling the truth. A lot of times I just assumed y'all were just being nice. And especially even Francis, when he would give me a compliment or tell me that my modeling's doing really great or I'm being really awesome or whatever the case might be, I would just use the excuse, well, you're just my boyfriend and that's just what you're saying to me. It doesn't necessarily matter. And so, yeah, you're saying wow and yeah, and how good man always helping, circumstances are different. Yeah. And it's interesting because it's kind of almost scary to share these things with y'all and even with Francis because I know he's probably listening like way in the back of the house. But it was something that I had to take control of, and I still need to take control of, because if I don't, I'm just gonna lose my mind, lose it all. I don't know whatever it is. I knew I needed to do something, and I just realistically didn't know how. So one of the things in the direction of change was Francis realizing that he was getting way too busy to manage my career, basically. And to just mention, just in case, I personally never forced or told or wanted necessarily Francis to do this for me. Like I said, January 1st of 2011, he mentioned it and he offered to help me, and I basically took it. Even when it came to editing photos, I never told him to do it. I more just like, oh, hey, babe, here's another set of photos. And I would honestly let him choose the photos to post for my social media, because I would only look at myself in the photos instead of the composition or the colors or the aesthetic or whatever the case might be. And having somebody else with an artistic background looking at the photos, they will see something aside from me looking fat or unperfect skin or whatever the case might have been. So it was hard to know that Francis was starting to become ready to leave my career, basically. I was scared because I knew this was a route that was eventually going to happen, but I just didn't know if I could do it on my own. I always had him for me. And I just had, again, all of the self-doubt. I didn't think I could do it. And I started just thinking that I'm going to fail at this, and that this career is just going to end at some point, and it's just going to be one of those things that's like, And it was even to the point where even thinking of getting a normal job, like at a retail store, thinking of something like that, even if it was only part-time, worried me, because that made me feel like I failed. If I can't make a living off of this career as a model, and I have to rely on another outlet such as retail or whatever the case might be, I kept thinking that that means I failed at this career. And it's not good, obviously, but that's just how my brain was working. So it took some time to realize that I could actually do it without him. He started to keep telling me, hey babe, when I finish your website, because that's literally, when you see a l.shima website up, then that means he's completely done. And he's actually taking a lot of reins away. Like, I've actually grabbed a lot, and almost to the point where I look at him like, you can't do that. But he's always said, once I finished your website, that's it. That's all that I'm going to do, and I'm going to focus on his, I'm speaking as him. I'm going to focus on my own art career. And I totally understood. I never was like, no, babe, don't leave me. It was more like, okay, I don't know if I can do this kind of thing. So it was really hard for that transition. And it took some time, and it's still taking some time. But one of the biggest things that I highly recommend, and it did take me forever to do this, but one of the biggest issues that I had was all of that self-thought and all of that negativity and all of that doubting and also all of that pent-up energy. I just kept it all in myself. Especially like if something happened, if I was mad at Francis for something, I would just keep that to myself. And then of course all of a sudden just erupt with just sadden and anger and all of this crazy frustrations, whatever, emotions. And obviously that's not good. And for a while, Francis mentioned about seeing a therapist. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it at all because a lot of times, especially nowadays, hearing that, it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. And I didn't want to accept that. And it was one of those things where, and I feel like I'm getting deep on this first episode. I feel like somebody that's first knowing me, just really coming on for the first time, they're like, damn, what is this fucking podcast? This is like a soap opera or something. Yeah, it's my fucking life. No, but I will be getting pretty deep for a little bit, and then I'll brighten it up. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. But I knew the idea of a therapist was helpful, but I didn't think I needed it, and I didn't want to accept that I needed a therapist because I didn't want to believe that there was something wrong with me. And I even went to a normal doctor to just get a checkup for something or whatever, and she was the first time here in Detroit seeing a doctor, and the first thing she did, or not the first thing, but one of the things she did before I left was ask me if I was depressed. And in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not depressed. I mean, I'm very emotional, because if you ever did know me, fully know me, I cry about almost everything. It's ridiculous, but it's true. So she asked me these questions if I was depressed, and as she was asking that too, I kind of started getting tears in my eyes because I didn't want to accept that. I'm like, no, I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to have depression. That's not something I want. That I don't want something bad with me, and that's bad in my mind. Same with anxiety and whatever the case. And I just didn't want to accept it, and I never did for a very, very long time. It was unread on my, because I organize my emails based on unread messages, so the unread ones are on top, so I know to get to those eventually. But on the unread email, it was sent to myself to find a therapist, and that literally sat there unread for a good 3 months because I was too afraid to do it. And I did go see a therapist once, and I remember just crying. And that was, she kind of informed me of I can't really exactly recall what this therapist told me at that time. But I didn't feel like that was a positive thing. I just kind of more okay, I did it once. I'm good. I got it. I don't need any more. I'm perfectly fine. I just needed to vent it out once, and I was done with it. But what happened, that same thing started to ride back over. I kept everything inside. All that self-doubt was fluttering my mind. That negativity, all the shebang. And I kind of just relapsed in a sense. And again, I didn't know what to do or why it was happening or why I was the person who I was. And I realized, or even with also Francis's help, that I needed to go back into therapy again. And at the same time, I didn't want to do it. I was too scared to, because I knew that if I were to go, all that crying was going to happen at some point. And that's one thing I do not like, is crying. I do it so much that it's just, I try to avoid it as best as I can. And if it happens, then I try to stop it as fast as I can. And not even really acknowledge it as much. I start crying, and I'm like, okay, stop. And then just move on. So it took some time to find a therapist that I felt comfortable with. Sorry, that's literally bugging me. I think it goes that way. That I was comfortable with. And at the same time, my first therapy session with the therapist that I'm currently going to, I was just so nervous. I didn't want something to come up that I didn't want to acknowledge, basically. One of the things I heard, I think, was from the fabulous porn star Asa Akira, where she mentioned she doesn't go to therapy because she does not want the therapist to basically reveal something that happened in her past that's causing something that's going on currently, because she doesn't want that. Like, she's more like saying, if there's a moment sometimes in people's brains where something happened in your past that was so traumatic, just realistically traumatic, that you pretty much just forget it. Like, you don't even remember it anymore. If somebody even brought up something along those lines, you'd be like, that's never happened to me, or whatever. And so I kind of agreed with that. I didn't want something in my past to kind of take the reins and say, oh, Shima, yeah, hey, I'm here. You totally forgot me? Don't worry about it. I'm back. I was really worried about that. And I've been to this therapist for since at least late 2016. So like November, December, around that time. And I go once a week. And it's actually been helpful. I've learned a lot of things so far. I unfortunately have not actually learned, or not learned, but she always recommends like these books and stuff, or these apps, and I unfortunately have not actually done those because I just don't like reading sometimes. I know it sounds really fucking bad, but as far as like sitting down and actually reading, sometimes I get overwhelmed by it. So I haven't really done it. But one of the things that she mentioned to me that I need to try is this thing called like your 5 senses. So obviously we all know our 5 senses. We got smell, taste, sight, hearing, and touch. When you're having like a stressful panic moment or something that makes you feel uncomfortable at any moment. So for me, it's when I get stressed about work or about this podcast, like getting that nervous feeling, or when something starts to create the sadness in my eyes. I feel like this really heavy heart feeling, and almost like I'm not shaking, but just everything hurts. And she mentioned when things like that happen, try to think of your 5 senses. So just take the moment and, breathe in and slowly breathe out, and then smell and acknowledge the smell. So like right now, if I did it, I would smell the little oil in this on my wrist, and I smell the candles actually burning. And then as far as sight goes, say, ignore like this podcast is happening. As far as sight goes, I see these bouquets of flowers right here. They're pink, green, white, with hints of yellow. I notice a glass filled with water, and a white table, and a black mic. And you just start kind of visualizing what you see, and you kind of either say it out loud or say it in your head to kind of just fill any thoughts that your brain is producing, basically. And same with taste. Taste, she said, and taste is pretty hard, especially when you're not like eating anything, because usually it just tastes like your mouth, and that's not really amazing. But like if you're eating a brownie or like dinner, take the time to taste and dissect what is actually in the ingredients. So like if I was eating one of my favorite brownies, I'd be like, okay, there's like a chocolatey sensation, and with a hint of peanut butter, and the texture is almost soft yet crunchy, and you kind of just start tasting things and kind of acknowledging what you're feeling. Same thing with hearing. You hear what's around you. So right now Francis is in the bathroom and he just flushed the toilet and he's washing his hands. So like you kind of go over that. And then feeling too, you kind of just feel like, okay, this mic is very like soft right here, but then on the back side it's very like hard and kind of like weird texture. I don't really know how to describe it. And then you kind of just start feeling things, or even feeling your hair and all this other stuff. And it kind of just takes a moment out of your thoughts to focus on other things. And I've tried it a few times, and it actually does help in a sense. It makes me feel almost refreshed. It doesn't necessarily treat anything or fix anything, but it does let your mind kind of refresh itself. Like, okay, I feel like I almost just woke up or something. And then you kind of just go from there. She's also recommended, like, also, when something stressful is happening to me, just to step away. So a lot of times, like if I'm, say after this, I have the recording of the video and I want to put it on YouTube. So say I do the editing on Premiere and, oh no, storage. Okay, and I want to do all the editing on Premiere. So say the software is just not working with me for whatever reason, something kind of out of my control, and it's really pissing me off. I need to just acknowledge that and acknowledge that stress, like just, okay, I feel the sensation that it's just not working and I'm starting to have that really heavy heart feeling. Let me just step away. Just go outside, go play with my dog, go do something that is something that I enjoy. Go cook some brownies, do something along those lines to get me out of that situation in a sense. Not trying to avoid it, but you're just trying to kind of like getting away is a really bad way to say it, but just to kind of take a break, to take a pause. Just like, okay, I'm going to come back to this. But for now, let me just step aside, breathe some air, and then come back to it when I feel like I'm ready. And the hardest thing I will say, and I'm not a pro at this, I really am not. Every time I come into her once a week, I always feel like, okay, I don't really know if there's anything I can talk about this week. And then there's always something to talk about. But so I'm not a pro whatsoever. But one of the hardest things, and it still happens to me, is when I do have those sensations of like negativity or just self-doubt. When that heart feeling happens, it's really hard to like focus on the five senses sometimes, because like even this past week, because I see her on Tuesdays. So yesterday I mentioned to her that last week I had a moment where it was making me really like anxious and like questioning myself and what I chose, if it was the right direction. And yay, hey Derek. Sorry, I wanted to end Rose. I wanted to pause to see what Instagram's saying. And so I don't lost my train of thought again. But to get out of those those moments of heaviness, it would almost feel like a block was happening. I noticed that I was very heavy, but then I'm like, okay, I should do my five senses, or I should meditate, or I should step away for a second. But then every time I would try to, it would kind of break it a little bit, but then the negativity or the self-doubt would just instantly build itself back up and kind of force the five senses away, or force the meditation away, where I couldn't focus enough on it to really get involved and try to like change my mindset. And I'm still kind of like figuring it out as the weeks progress, because it's still kind of new to me. And I wanted to share these things with y'all because it's weird, because I get really deep and like emotional about this, and then like kind of relates, because I wanted to inform y'all with this, because that's the reason that I've created Hourglass, was because I wanted to try something on my own. And having Francis always there, but now not as much, I wanted to take the reins finally and try to tell myself that I can do this. And so can you, obviously. If you're just like me, you can do it as well. It takes some fucking time and it's hard as hell, but it's possible. But I wanted to finally have control, at least in my career, and to say that I did this myself. I might have had to go and ask him questions, like that happens. He had to look at a behind the scenes video that I'm editing right now. And I just wanted to hear his critique, just to see if there's anything that I'm not seeing or something that I need to change. So having him there is very helpful, but not having him there 100% is what I need to stay away from. So I feel like I worded that weird, but you know what I mean, right? So having Hourglass was kind of a start of that change, because Be Cool started in Florida. And I remember that day I was trying to figure out a name and I could not figure it out for the life of me. Nothing sounded interesting to me at that time. And Francis was naming all of these things because that's what he does best of. Naptown on Twitch, this discussion is about the truth, just kind of breaking down the creation of Hourglass and what is just really happening behind the scenes in my life right now. So you did miss a lot, but don't worry. You can check it on YouTube, hopefully by tomorrow, or SoundCloud as well, for the parts that you did miss. So don't worry. You're all covered. But yeah, I wanted to have it all done myself. And so, yeah, okay, now I remembered. Be Cool was created, and I couldn't think of names, and friends came with all these names and all these things, and he just randomly struck Be Cool. And I'm like, all right. I wasn't really content with that name, but I was just like, by that point, I'm like, I need a name. Let's just fucking do it. And so that's what the origin of Be Cool was Francis created this name, and I just used it. I personally actually wanted the podcast for myself. I hope this audio is actually really good because I keep forgetting about this mic. I'm not used to it because I've actually never used it for the podcast. But I wanted to do something different and something that was myself. And I chose to do the podcast. So that was at least something I knew was something I wanted to do and that I could do because I've done it so many fucking times. But the name just didn't sit right with me. I never was happy with it. Like, honestly, even saying it on the episodes, I'm like, and also it just reminded me of the movie Be Cool. So I knew with this transition of trying to do everything myself now, it had to start with changing the podcast. And all it is realistically just changing the name. It's the same. It's still live video chat. I mean, it's not on Ustream anymore. It's on Twitch. Hey. And it's not on Periscope. It's on Instagram. Hey. But it's almost pretty much the exact same. Nothing really has changed. I mean, if you, like Derek and all of y'all have, what? This is me, right? Like, I'm not different. I'm not putting a facade. I was gonna name the episode, or the podcast Facade, too. Actually thinking of it. I was gonna show, like, I had even, like, a long list of names here. We'll do this real fast. So this is my long, super list of podcast names. So one being Raw, Fresh, Standout, Shift Gears, L Money, Pound for Pound, LSD, because that's my initials, 512, 313, because 512 is Austin's area code, and 313 is Detroit's area code, and I'm from Austin, but I live in Detroit. Anyways, Exotic Appeal, correct me if I'm wrong, Hourglass, Twisted Reflection, Shoddy, because that's my favorite word. I love the word shoddy. I don't know. It's like shorty, but it's shoddy, but it's almost also like shitty, but it's not. Madhouse, Barriers, Fake It. I literally had an entire list of names that I thought of for myself. And I didn't honestly know which one to choose, but again, with a little feedback from Francis, Hourglass ended up just being perfect. And there was someone on Reddit that actually made a good comment about it being, oh, you're clever, it being an hour, and then it's a glass because it's like showcasing you, it's looking into you, kind of in a sense. Or even Francis kind of saying almost something similar, like, oh yeah, that's clever, like an hour because it's an hour podcast. But then his idea was glass, like glass half full or whatever. And all these people are telling me like how clever I am, and I'm like, truthfully, I was just thinking hourglass, like tits and ass and the hourglass, and I just thought that was something kind of like cool. But yes, I will take it. It's an hour, and you get to see me and hear my half full glass. Whatever. Anyways, let me take a second to see if any of y'all have questions, because I really did get deep. So if y'all have any funny comments or any positive things you want to like uplift this episode so it's not super depressing. Not that it is, and if it is, it's not that bad. It's not a big issue. But just if you have any questions, start asking right now. Let me just read on Twitch real fast just to see what y'all are talking about. You're so expressive in your communication. It must help with modeling. Oh, if there's a photographer that's worked with me on here, please inform them of my personality while shooting. I'm really shy in real life. I kind of stay to myself. I rather do Netflix and chill, even rather than just going out to drinks or something like that. But I'm really shy, and modeling actually is a weird, like, positive outlet for me to, like, socialize, basically. So sometimes I over socialize. Like, I had to record the behind the scenes of the special guest for next week, and I was telling Francis yesterday that I wish I would just shut up sometimes at these shoots, because I was just talking, not the entire, I was talking like a normal person, but when it was like, when it's considered for recording behind the scenes and me being behind the camera, there's times where I kind of like say something and I really can't use the audio because my big mouth is talking or laughing or giggling or something. But it is a good thing, and it does help my modeling, and it makes me social a lot more. So yeah, my expressions too, like, especially, oh, and also, yeah, I think you more meant like just expressions in general. But yeah, doing the modeling and like posing and stuff, like, somebody tells me to be sad, which is rare. Nobody really tells me to be sad for photos. But if they are, I'm like, I got sad on lockdown because, like I said, I'm an emotional person. So I cry about everything. But then they want me happy, or not smile, or look serious, or look mad. I can't talk and pose at the same time. Let's see. Instagram, do y'all have anything? Okay, now I like LSD. Yeah, LSD is addicting. I used to say, I think I told Francis that when we first dated, I'm like, watch out, my name's LSD, and it can be very addicting. Anyways, but yes, LSD, and I would always write LSD on my binders and like those bubble letters and stuff. And people, you would definitely know the druggies because they'd be like, is those your initials? Those are so rad. That's my druggie face. So you would definitely know who was the druggie. I never did LSD, and I will never do it at the same time. But yeah, those are my initials. It's pretty cool. Hourglass shape. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then back to Twitch real fast. Let's see. Congratulations on taking the reins. Thank you. I know. It's literally just a step in the progression, honestly. Just one day at a time. And there's literally moments where I have to, like, tell Francis, I'm like, don't touch that photo. Or don't get on my Twitter. Or what did you just tweet? Or whatever the case might be. I've now gotten a lot more better at it, because before I just kind of let it happen, but now I'm a little bit more like, no. And that's usually not me either, so I'm changing the game a little bit. I'm kind of glad about it too. Nap time, I already answered that question. And then Derek, Mike is great. I know, Francis got me this for my birthday, I think, so I've actually never used it for the podcast. I actually used it when I did my newsletter, and I know some of y'all are like, yeah, Shima, what up with that newsletter? I know, just bear with me in my life right now. But it's really cool, actually. Hey guys, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but, this just is so cool. I don't really know. But it's just nice. It makes me feel more professional, too, especially with this podcast. Like, somebody comes in here, they're like, damn, you got a legit setup. I'm like, I know, dude, because I got a mic. When my special guests come, actually, there's this thing called a mini karaoke mic that I saw at the art store here in Detroit. And it's literally like this little, like, it's probably about roughly this size. It's like a little, maybe a little bit bigger. It's like a little mic for, like, you to plug into your phone and do karaoke. But I'm not going to use it for karaoke. Or maybe I am. Don't even know. But I think it'll be funny to have that for the special guests. So they can have the mic and this little tiny thing and talk. I don't know. I haven't bought it yet, but it just sounds like it would be cool and be cool. Anyways. Whoa, that's long. I don't remember what you're talking about. Sorry, Culver. L money. I know, and you can't see it, but I do have an L and then a dollar sign over there on my wall that I found. Technically, Francis found. Actually, no, I found it. Francis found the actual letters at an antique store. So that actually also was the reason why I got the idea for L money, but didn't stick. And then Derek, how do I get my photos into a gallery show? That is one of my goals. Ooh, okay. Well, I was just trying to think if I had a guest that's actually been in a gallery show, but I don't yet. But I will find someone actually now thinking about it. Give me a second, Derek, just to read Instagram real fast, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Thanks, I know I'm delightful. Just kidding. No, I mean, I know I'm delightful. I'm just trying not to be conceited at the same time. I came in late. I thought it was a champagne bottle. Oh, this is a champagne bottle? Yeah, you didn't miss much. LSD is cool. L Money is good too. Unfortunately, I gotta get going, but I'll catch you soon or here on Twitch. Peace. Bye. So yeah, Derek, as far as how to get your photos into a gallery show, damn. I honestly, truthfully, am not the best person to ask that question. I will try my hardest to find an appropriate special guest to answer that for you. Actually thinking of Francis would be a person to ask as far as, well, he wouldn't be like the best person to ask about galleries though, because he's not really been part of a gallery. Or maybe he has. I don't even know. But what would be the best? How would you get? Honestly, I think the best way is to just network. Go find who's curating certain galleries or who owns one. So using an example, there's a couple galleries here in Detroit, and one is called Interstate Gallery. And like my friend at the time was working, or my friend was working there at the time, and they've had other photos and just artists in general. And so I feel like if you just went to the galleries and asked for either like a manager or the owner or whoever, the art director especially, and kind of just reaching out to them, and they might not be there, or you might just have to email them. But take chances like that, because you never honestly know. I send out a lot of emails on a daily, and a lot of them actually get no responses back, especially when I travel. I send a lot of emails when I travel, and majority of them don't get responses. But the ones that do, it's like cool beans. In the worst case, if you do send an email out, like having all your shit on it and asking like, hey, can I be part of the gallery? Or hey, do you want to do a shoot together? Or whatever the case might be. The worst case, they're just going to say no. But there's a high chance that they at least looked at your stuff. And they may say no, but 5 years down the line, they might randomly think, hey, I remember this one person's work. Let me go back to my emails. So you take chances. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But at least for me, that's my recommendation, is just to network and go reach out to these people the best way you can. But I will definitely try to get somebody that's been part of a gallery for you, Derek, because that's actually a really good question, and I feel like that's really important to know, actually, for a lot of individuals. So, hard to imagine you're shy when you have a vibrant personality. Did your modeling career help mold you into becoming more social, or has that always been your personality? Just curious. So we have about 6 minutes. I can technically go over the hour, but it makes it easier on my computer if it's not super huge file. But as far as that question goes, truthfully, this is my personality. I was the youngest out of 3 siblings, and I was the youngest by at least 7 years. So my sister's the middle child, and she's 7 years older than me, and my brother is the oldest, and he's 11 years older than me. So my brother left when he didn't leave, but I don't really remember him being home when I was in my teens, or even when I was in my my like late childhood memories. And my sister, she kind of was like the babysitter, because my mom worked 2 jobs at the time, and so she would always have to watch me. So a lot of times it was me by myself, because my sister, she's 7 years older than me. So if I was 8, she's already a teen, and she would rather go hang out with her friends on the basketball court or at the park or something, and I don't blame her. So a lot of times I had to kind of be by myself and just kind of entertain me, basically. So I would create these like stories in my head and act out these like little scenarios and kind of just interact with my own self and kind of entertain me. And so a lot of that personality kind of comes down from that, I think, is just being by myself and kind of just like being bubbly, because I really am bubbly. I do feel that negativity with myself, like I'm more negative with me, just like myself. I'm not negative really with anyone else. Like, even if I went to a grocery store and the line is super long, I don't get pissy. I might get, like, agitated because if I'm, like, in a rush and I need to be somewhere. But when I get to the cashier, I'm never like, I'm always like, hey, how are you doing? Or how's your day going? I try to be as, like, nice and friendly as possible because I feel like, why would I want somebody I barely even know being rude to me for no reason or whatever? So a lot of my personality comes from just wanting to be overall nice. Like, I've even told myself a few times that I wish I was more of a bitch, but I honestly wouldn't want to be more of a bitch. But it's just the fact that I'm just that nice that it kind of, like, floods my personality. Everything I do is just out of niceness. And when it comes to the energy, that's me more, like, wanting things done really fast. I'm very fast-paced, really fast-paced. Like, say, for this logo, I did this all by myself. This literally took, 2 days? But there's people that takes literally a week to do. And you're like, well, Shima, that's fucking simple. I know it's fucking simple because I made it fucking simple. But there's literally, like, designers that's their job is to do stuff like that. And they take forever to do it. Not in a bad way, but they take their time to do it. I need to be in and be out as soon as I can. So a lot of that high energy is from that. It's just wanting to, like, kind of release that, like, need to be jumping around and stuff. And I'm very fidgety too, as you may notice so far. I just constantly am moving. And then I'm trying to think of other personalities, but yeah, it's truly me. I am, especially when it's a single situation. So me on this podcast, I'm very, personality is, like, high. But if there was, like, 10 more people in this room, or even, like, 3 to 4 more people in this room, like, physically in this room, like, looking me, like, I can see them. You know what I mean. But if there was physically, like, 4 people in this room, I would be more shy. I'd be, like, having a hard time kind of talking. I would still talk. And a lot of people say, oh, Shima, you're really good at talking. And, like, super social, interactions. But deep down inside, it takes a lot for me to be social when there's more than a few people in a room. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully I answered that question. So everyone, it's literally been an hour. This actually went more smoothly than I was expecting. Yes! Fuck yeah! I remember that one episode on Be Cool where I totally forgot to stream it. And so for a good 45 minutes, I was talking to myself, and that was really horrible. And there was another episode where I had a special guest. Her name is Jordan Bunny, and that fucking episode went to hell because my service and internet and all that stuff was not on my side. And I just got a text message from... Are you on, Alejandro? What's happening? But anyways, it went to hell because just everything was so against me. The CPUs were out the door high and everything kept breaking and lagging, and it just was a shitty fucking episode. I really still actually need to redo that. Alejandro! And so it's just kind of nice to actually see that my podcast this time around, oh, Instagram only has like a max of an hour? Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, things are happening. But I just kind of got worried that this, especially having Twitch be the like new podcast and everything, or host, I was really worried on how things were going to turn out and if anything was going to turn out shitty or shoddy. The intro was a little laggy, but anyways, okay guys, it's been an hour and I want to show actually my special guest before the night ends. But first, let me just pop Instagram Live real fast because, you know, because I can. Because I guess it can only do an hour max. That's kind of cool, I guess. Hey everyone on Instagram Live, I'm just recapping on everything, but yeah, I'm just gonna kind of just showcase who the special guest is next week. So if you are curious on who is the special guest, yeah, this is it. Alright, so let's change it. Ooh, living life. This is what I see, guys. Literally, this is what I see. This is my environment. Okay, so everyone on Twitch, let's see who is our special guest. Awesome. So our special guest next week is Stephen Crossan. Yay! You can follow him on Instagram at... God dang my life. I literally wrote it down and then I switched the page. Give me a second. Okay. Our special guest for next week is Stephen Crossan. You can follow him on Instagram at Crossan I am. That's spelled at CROSSONIAM. Or you can check out his website at stephencrossan.com. That's STEPHENCROSSON.com. He's a local Detroit photographer. I've actually worked with him once. I also recorded the behind the scenes of him with a shoot with model Shelby, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That will be amazing and awesome and fun and fantastic. And yeah, so everyone, that was the first episode of Hourglass. Aren't you happy that I'm finally back? Yay, I am too. All right, guys. Well, everyone on Instagram, I know I signed in and then signed out and then signed in again and then signed out again. But now I know Instagram only does it for an hour, so I remember that now. But bye, everyone on Instagram. How do I end it? End. End video. And then everyone on Twitch, thanks seriously for signing up for Twitch in the first place. I don't know if any of y'all are Twitch users or not, but just again, in general, thanks for doing it. Anyways, yeah. So, all right, guys, that's another fabulous episode of Hourglass, more than tits and ass. I don't know if I'm going to use that, but I decided to try it. All right, guys, have a great night and see y'all next week. Bye. Toodles.